Back to our story about the early years of Islam in Mecca. Muhammad's followers were initially few in numbers and suffered hostility from the Meccan polytheists. To escape the ongoing persecution in the year 615 AD, Muhammad, peace be upon him, sent many of his followers to Abyssinia because the Abyssinians were Christians who believed in the same God and the same prophets. But if early Muslims were in Petra, why they needed to travel 2,700 kilometers from Petra to Ethiopia to seek protection under a Christian king, when their own city and all the lands around them were Christians? As the Mushrikeen persecution of the Muslims in Mecca intensified and their lives became in danger, so when a delegation from Al-Madinah came to Mecca and offered Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his followers to come to Medina where they will be safe, Muhammad, peace be upon him, ordered his followers to migrate from Mecca to Medina. It was known as Yathrib. This event, the Hijrah in 622 AD, marks the beginning of the Muslims' Hijri calendar. Now, Dan Gibson agrees that Al-Hijrah to Medina took place and that Medina is the same one as we know it today in Saudi Arabia. Only he asserts that Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his companions emigrated from Petra to Medina, not Mecca to Medina. Now, all the Muslims secretly immigrated to Medina in small groups, leaving their houses, properties, belongings, and livestock behind. Only Muhammad, peace be upon him, Abu Bakr and Ali were still in Mecca. The Meccan became concerned that Muhammad, peace be upon him, will soon receive Al-Madinah support and his movement will grow in strength. So they kept watch to prevent him from joining his followers in Medina. Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Abu Bakr planned their escape. They left Mecca in hiding, walked at night to a cave close to Mecca called Al-Thur, where they hidden for 3 days, knowing that the Meccan will send parties looking for them in the roads leading to Medina. They waited in the cave till the Mushrikeen search for them waned. And the 3rd day, they were provided with 2 camels by a trusted supporter, as was previously planned, started their travel towards Medina, following a longer unused route. They reached Quba, south of Medina, after 8 days. Now, an Arabian camel can easily travel the 360 kilometers between Mecca and Medina in 7 to 8 days, but it will be difficult to make the 800 kilometers between Petra and Medina in 8 days. Especially, they were traveling in the heat of September, when temperature under the strong sun can reach more than 40 degrees. The logistics and dangers of an 800-kilometer desert trip in such heat will be impossible to be even considered, let alone to be carried out by these 2 old men. The Prophet, peace be upon him, was 53 years of age, and Abu Bakr was 50 years of age. In Medina, the immigrants, after leaving all their properties and belongings in Mecca, which was confiscated and grabbed by the Meccans, were initially supported by Al-Ansar. Al-Ansar are the people of the Medina who embraced Islam. Now, after about 2 years in Medina, we come to the first battle with the Meccan Mushrikeen. Al-Muhajirin, the Muslims immigrants now in Medina, in their efforts to recover some of their property, which the Mushrikeen seized, looked at capturing one of the Meccan caravans to recover part of what was taken from them. They learned of a Meccan caravan returning from the Levant, which is Syria, led by Abu Sufyan. The Muslims gathered a small force of 317 men and marched west towards the caravan route. Abu Sufyan, the head of the caravan, received information of the Muslims' plan. He changed course and took a different route away from Medina. and sent a messenger to Mecca asking for support. The Meccan Mushrikeen mobilized and sent an army nearly 1,000 strong. The much smaller Muslims expedition missed the caravan, but engaged with the Meccan army in a place called Badr. Although they were smaller force, the battle ended in victory to the Muslims and the beginning of a new chapter in Islamic history. That's simply what happened in Badr in the year 624 AD. Badr is around 120 kilometers southwest of Medina and 280 kilometers northwest of Mecca. But Dan Gibson have other ideas. Dan Gibson wrote under the title of Battle of Badr. The URL is listed in the end of this episode. Dan Gibson said, "Now according to Ibn Ishaq and Ibn Hisham, the caravan set out from Damascus, bringing supplies down to the holy city of Islam, which I believe was Petra. The Muslims hear about it, and they leave Medina, and they head north. They go north of Petra along the desert road, seeking to meet the caravan and loot it." Then Gibson continues saying, "Now here is a map." He's showing a map in his website. "The caravan would be taking the desert highway since the king's highway is so tightly controlled by the Byzantine army. So they would move through the desert, and they would go past where the road turns off to Petra, and the battle would have taken place north of there. What we need to do is find the graveyard along here that matches the number of people who died in the Battle of Badr. That leads us to one location, only one. It is here. It is called Al-Qastal." End of the extracts from Dan Gibson's site. The said extracts from Dan Gibson's site raises many questions. First, at the year 624 AD, the area of the Levant, namely Syria, Palestine, and Jordan, were all under the occupation of the Persians. So what Byzantine army Dan Gibson is talking about? Second, why the Petra caravan, traveling back from Damascus to Petra, want to avoid the Byzantine army? Good question. Third, a caravan leaving Damascus heading back to Petra will reach it after 12 days. For an informant to deliver the news of the caravan from Damascus to Medina, he will take at best 10 days to reach Medina. By the time Muslims in Medina prepare, mobilize the army, and march, the caravan would have arrived and unloaded in Petra, even before the Muslims' army leaves Medina to travel the 900 kilometers to Al-Qastal. The Muslims' expedition was 317 men, 3 horses, and 70 camels. That leaves us 244 men traveling on foot. At best, if they travel 30 kilometers per day, that will take them 30 days to reach Al-Qastal. It doesn't work. As we said, the caravan will need only 12 days to reach its destination after it leaves Damascus. One of Dan Gibson's viewers raised this question. Dan Gibson answered. He said, "The Muslims in Medina may have set out before Abu Sufyan even reached Damascus, and there has been some suggestion that the battle was engaged by those on the first raid. I wish we had a clearer record and accounts by those who had been there, but we do not." End of Dan Gibson quote. Even if the Muslims' army left Medina before Abu Sufyan even thought of going to Damascus, the Muslim army, most of them were on foot, would have needed 30 days to reach Al-Qastal. No rational leader will mobilize an army to walk 900 kilometers in the desert under the hot sun of March, not knowing where his target will be. Also, taking a light army of 317 men in a 900 kilometers walk across the desert to end very close to the hometown of your enemy, who are many times stronger and more equipped? Not to mention intruding into foreign territories guarded by the powerful Persian army. Surely that will be a recipe for failure. Then Gibson said in his quote, the one we mentioned before, there has been some suggestion that the battle was engaged by those on the first rate. We ask by who? Suggestion by who? He doesn't give us where he got this from. He doesn't tell us. He just said whatever he wants. Also he said, I wish we had a clear record and accounts by those who had been there, but we do not. End. I totally agree. There are no records or even single word about a battle taking place in Al-Qastal in that year or any other year. You know why? Because it never occurred. But on the other hand, there are plenty of records about a battle in a place called Badar, southwest of Medina, which Dan Gibson selected to ignore. And by the way, the battle is called Badar because it took place in a place called Badr, not because it took place under a full moon, as Dan Gibson tried to imply in some of his videos. It took place on either 17 or 19 or 21st Ramadan, depending on which historian you take from. But none of these nights is a full moon. In lunar month, the full moon is always in the 14th day of the month. The crescent always in the first day. Anyway, back to our subject. Dan Gibson wrote in the end of the same article titled The Battle of Badr, he said, so there were 14 martyrs, but only 13 graves. And here at Al-Qastal, the oldest Islamic site in Jordan, we find 2 graveyards, one with about a dozen early graves, and the other with many more early graves as well. End of quote. In the Battle of Badr, there are 14 killed martyrs from the Muslims and 70 killed from the Meccans. In Al-Qastal, there are about 12 in one graveyard and many more in the second. Dan Gibson did not tell us how many in the second graveyard and why there are 12, not 13 or 14, in what he called the Muslims' graveyard. In a matter of fact, there is no rational reasoning to justify reaching such conclusion from this completely unrelated data. There is nothing in this graveyard to tie them with Badr, not one evidence. All these questions will easily be answered when we put Badr back to its actual location at 100 kilometers southwest of Medina and 280 kilometers north of Mecca. Remember, the caravan avoided the Muslims' expedition. The Meccan army traveled north to defend the caravan. When they knew the caravan is safe, they decided to proceed and finish the Muslims anyway. The Muslims' army left Medina west towards the caravan route. The armies met in Badr. That's why Badr was closer to Medina than to Mecca. Also, that's why the Muslims' army was small and lightly equipped. Their target was a close-by moving caravan. It was not to engage in a battle with a much bigger army. Badr in Al-Hijaz in Saudi Arabia today will render all distances, travel, times, numbers, and logistics of the two armies. They will all make sense. The time Mecca in Petra, Badr in Al-Qastal will not make any sense. We come here to the end of this episode. In the next one, we will examine the Battle of the Confederates, also called the Battle of the Trench. Thank you for watching. Please share this video and subscribe to this channel. Wassalamu alaikum.